That's great, as usual. Good morning, everybody. We're going to get started here very shortly. And thank you. So, good morning and welcome to the 2021-2022 school year. It is with joy, gratitude, and excitement that I welcome you to the 71st year of North County's existence as a consolidated school district. Supporting us in our important work is our Board of Education. They are our essential partners in our collective community effort to realize the dreams and aspirations of all in the North County community. The 9 members of the North County Board of Education are committed to the mission of educating each and every child. They embody the district's mission statement of creating a system that uplifts all families by providing them with the necessary support to meet their social, emotional, and academic needs. They are committed to you, our educational professionals, to supporting you with what you need to engage in this most critical work of educating, teaching, and learning. It now gives me great pleasure to introduce a good friend, President Linda Harrison, President of the North County Board of Education, who will offer her words of welcome for the upcoming school year.
Thank you, Mr. Corr. He is indeed an old friend. I'd like to begin with a bit of a review. This just happens to be my 50th North Colony opening day. Thank you very much. I came to North Colony, as many of you know, in 1971. I was 22 years old. I taught social studies here right down in Lower M, M107, and I have just begun serving my 17th year on the Board of Education. And I have nothing but gratitude for this life, this North Colony life. So speaking of gratitude, let me continue. Reflecting on the work North Colony teachers, administrators, coaches, counselors, and our support staff have accomplished in their efforts to promote as much normality as possible for our students during this past, rather unusual year, inspires, again, profound gratitude. We witness resilience, determination, thoughtfulness, creativity, as you help to facilitate the operation of the very layered hybrid schedule and adapted to the unpredictable and disruptive effects the pandemic had on our students, on their families, and of course your families as well. Working tirelessly and often in quiet ways, the constancy you have provided our students for the past year and a half should be considered some of your best professional work. You have inspired hope and student success, doing your best to uphold academic standards under daunting and sometimes discouraging circumstances. A generosity of spirit prevailed throughout the district, which had a profound impact on the successful administrative navigation of the hybrid schedule with all of its nuances. Individuals just stepped up to do what was needed, and there were countless acts of goodness and kindness, and these were everyday occurrences. That spirit was a vital fact in the dedicated work so many of you did when what became an ongoing struggle to hang on to and encourage even our most disengaged students. It was evident in the work done by our nurses in maintaining connections with families, emotionally supporting some of our most vulnerable students, and for their endless good work in enforcing health protocols. It was evident as our 14-member technology staff became Wi-Fi support for almost 6,000 students, many of their families, and every teacher in the district. It was evident every day in the work of our secretarial and custodial staffs, bus drivers, and food service workers, all of whom were pivotal in the successful operation of the hybrid year. It is important for us to remember that in spite of the challenges, great learning did take place in both remote and in-person classrooms. Very importantly, our students also had opportunities to participate in activities that make their school experience special. They created wonderful art. They sang beautifully while masked and played musical instruments socially distanced. Our student athletes played the sports they love. 2 of our Shaker students graduated from the Sienna Transition Program, and over 500 students celebrated graduation at the Times Union Center. And, never to be underestimated, many of our students learned life. I know that this past school year we were back, but we really weren't back in the sense of truly being back. Although a great effort was made, last year was far from being what anyone would call a normal year. Colleagues were separated from one another, dealing a blow to collaboration, connectivity, and mutual support systems. One friend told me this was one of her best teaching years. Another told me it was her most difficult. While some students did have great learning and extracurricular experiences, there are others that simply disappeared from sight. Students in all schools missed events and traditional activities that were important to them. They missed their friends. We simply do not yet know the toll the pandemic has taken on our students, emotionally, socially, or academically, and that is going to take some time to figure out. And no one knows for sure what really being back will mean for either you or your students. But lessons learned over the past year and a half have the potential to make our schools a better place for all students. It is imperative that each and every one of our students is truly seen and that we remain steadfast in our work to reconnect with them and with each other. I have unbridled confidence that D. Joseph Corr and his deputy Kathleen Skeels have the intellect, experience, values, principle, wisdom to lead the way. The Board of Education is unanimous in its support for their work and in the work that each of you does every day. On behalf of the Board of Education, my colleagues, Paula D'Orazio, Mary Nardulillo, who is sitting in the audience today, Sandra Pangburn, Penny Brunel, Michelle DeChavo, Matt Cannon is in the audience today, Sam Johnson, and Nick Komprosky. I wish you first and foremost good health. And of course, I always wish you great joy as you work with our students, and of course, great joy as you work with one another again. So just go out and have fun.
Thank you, Linda. 41 years, a great friend. 41 years we've been working together, and it has been such an honor and privilege to extend that to 17 years in your service as a member of the North County Board of Education, and for that I am very grateful. Thank you. Last year, I gave this speech to an empty auditorium. And although I do realize that this year we are fortunate to have a live audience of our high school colleagues, and that the rest of you are gathered together as best you can throughout the district, I have to acknowledge the unease, uncertainty, and anxiety that we are all feeling. Like you, I am a mix of conflicting emotions: hope and fear, sadness and joy, anticipation, uncertainty, and unknowing. There's a lot going on in today's world. People are continuing to get sick with COVID-19. Natural disasters are repeatedly hitting parts of the U.S., and acts of racism are in the news every day. Added to all of that, we are commemorating the 20th anniversary of 9/11, a traumatic event that has forever changed our world. All of these things can have impacts on our lives, and it's easy to feel like we're always waiting for the next bad thing to happen. So for these reasons, I think this is the most difficult opening day speech I've had to give as I begin my 12th year as superintendent and 41st in North County. I usually, in these speeches, try to say thank you, but how do I appropriately thank you for all you accomplished last year? I fear the words can sound hollow when I say that your work was extraordinary, because I know for many of you, it didn't feel like your typical work, and therefore you didn't feel as though you were being as successful as you would have liked to be. But we must remind ourselves and each other that we served with honor and compassion through a pandemic. We must remind ourselves and each other that since March 13, 2020, we have embraced unprecedented challenges, and we kept going. No one will fully comprehend the extent of the personal and professional impact of these events, but we fully know the indelible, positive impact of our presence on students, families, and one another. We took care of kids. We took care of families. And when we needed it most, we took care of each other. We showed up every day and did everything we could. And that matters. That counts. And it is for all of that that I try to say thank you in a way that lets you know I see you, I hear you, and I recognize what a struggle it was, and I thank you. This was your historical moment. Just as previous generations were challenged by the Great Depression, World War II, and Jim Crow, you too, with skill, courage, grace, and dignity, met the moment. For that, you have our enduring gratitude. In these speeches, I also try to motivate us for the year to come, and that includes me. I try in some way to capture the enthusiasm of a brand new year. We are fortunate that we are in a profession that gets to an end of one year, take a pause, and begin a new year. And just like on January 1, there are hopes and goals for the year ahead. But that is challenging this year. Just a few weeks ago, I felt like I could say that this was a transition year. It wasn't like pre-pandemic, but it wasn't last year either. However, the last few weeks have proven that the pandemic continues to challenge our doctors, our scientists, and all of us. COVID-19 has proven to be more than just a bump in a road. This is a challenge, and a challenge that has persisted, and a challenge that will continue for a while. It challenges our expectations, it upends our routines, and it challenges our very human need for control. Which brings me to another reason why it's hard to give this speech. I'm a person who always tries to be grateful. I'm grateful for this profession. I'm grateful that I've been able to serve the community. I'm grateful for all of you. But again, I feel like these words are hard to say right now because I know that among us, we have community members who are struggling with serious issues. And I know that there are people within this community whose members are struggling with personal loss and tragedy in the midst of this pandemic. And I also know that these challenges exist among the children we serve. These challenges are often silent and unknown to us, but sometimes evident and expressed in unrelated ways through behavior, social-emotional upset, or academic difficulties. And so it's hard for me today to communicate gratitude because such an expression feels somewhat trite when I know that there are people within this audience and within the larger audience throughout the district who are suffering right now. And finally, this gathering together is part of a tradition and a routine, just one of many celebrations of community disrupted by this pandemic. I realized that I was trying to write this speech that if we just try to stick to our old routines and expectations, we'll continue to feel as though we're just waiting for time to pass before continuing on with our lives as we once knew them. But, my friends and colleagues, we have to acknowledge that our lives have been inexorably challenged and changed, and some, sadly, more than others. Perhaps the only way to take back some control when it feels like so many things are up in the air is to look around and acknowledge the community we are a part of in North Colony. What defines a community more than a sense of interdependence is care and concern for one another. We share a mission. We celebrate the good, and we comfort each other through the bad. We do that for ourselves, and we do that for our students and families, for there is strength in togetherness. There is comfort in knowing that when one of us is down, someone is able to lend a helping hand. There is comfort in knowing that we are not alone. So while I cannot know the range of emotions you are feeling as we return to school, I do know that the struggle will be less if we can commit to showing up for each other and our students in the full range of our humanity, not just as teachers and learners, but as members of an interconnected community. So as we get back to the school year and meet one another, let's be intentional with compassion, caring, and kindness. Let's work harder at seeing one another as fellow humans who may be coping differently, but we're doing it in the best way we can. Whether a colleague, a student, or a parent, let us do our best to greet everyone with an open heart, assume good intentions, and show ourselves and others grace. The situation will not be easy, and it certainly will not be perfect. We may not all be our best selves each and every day, but I do know that each of you will give us your best each and every day, and that best is more than good enough. And this is the beauty of this work. You're part of a team. You're part of a community, and together we are an extended family. When one person is down, another is there to lift them up. You are never alone. And now, to honor one of our favorite traditions, I present to you Shaker High School senior Jaya Dixon performing Good Job by Alicia Keys. She will be accompanied by Ms. Amy Kimbler. The lyrics will be meaningful for us and the mixed feelings we may be experiencing today. My favorite lines are, "The world needs you now. Know that you matter." was beautiful. Thank you. Be safe. And as you continue to take care of our students, please take care of yourselves and take care of each other. Have a great school year.